Welcome to the 90-Minute Mind, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of soccer. Not just the game you see on the pitch, but the mindset, history, culture, and philosophy behind it. Whether you're a player, a coach, a parent, or just someone who loves the beautiful game, this is where your understanding goes beyond the final whistle. In episode 1, we explored how soccer began, from ancient civilizations to its modern rise. But today, we look at what happened next. How did soccer become the world's most loved sport? How did different cultures shape the way the game is played, taught, and celebrated today? And what makes this game more than just 90 minutes? This is episode 2, From Pitches to Platforms, How Soccer Evolved Around the World.
Imagine village streets, churchyards, and dusty open spaces where early versions of soccer were once played. It was chaotic, lawless, often brutal. Each community had its own rules, and no one really kept score. There were no referees, no uniforms, and certainly no trophies. But something about kicking a ball and chasing it together stuck. And it spread, not by marketing or money, but by pure joy. In the 1800s, English public schools began organizing this chaos into structure. They drafted rules, set dimensions, split games into halves. The modern form was born in 1863 when England's Football Association, FA, was established, separating association football from rugby football. The word soccer, it's a short form of association. Students nicknamed it a soccer, which got shortened to soccer. That term stuck in places like the US, Canada, and Australia, where other forms of football were already popular. Meanwhile, most of the world calls it football. So what do you call it? From there, the game leapt beyond British shores. The British Empire helped, but so did sailors, workers, and engineers traveling abroad. They brought the game with them, planting its roots in places like Argentina, Brazil, Italy, and Egypt. Factories formed clubs. Railways allowed travel between towns for matches. Communities rallied behind local teams, which would later become global giants like Manchester United, Juventus, or Boca Juniors. In Spain, FC Barcelona was founded not just as a club, but as a symbol of Catalan identity. In Brazil, football transformed into an art form. In Italy, it became tactical war. Each region took the same game and made it its own. FIFA, the sport's governing body, was formed in 1904. By 1930, the first FIFA World Cup took place in Uruguay, igniting international competition and pride. That tournament changed everything. Soccer wasn't just local anymore, it was global. Television played its part. By the 1950s and 60s, fans could watch games beyond their borders. Stars like Pelé, Eusebio, and Garrincha became household names. And then came Cruyff, Beckenbauer, Maradona. These are no longer just players. They were artists, leaders, symbols. The World Cup became a global stage. The UEFA Champions League gave clubs from different nations the chance to prove who was best. Fans in Tokyo, Toronto, Lagos, and Buenos Aires all started watching the same matches, in different languages but with the same emotion. Meanwhile, club academies were developing players like factories of talent. Ajax in Amsterdam, Clairefontaine in France, La Masia in Barcelona. They weren't just teaching soccer. They were teaching discipline, creativity, humility, and resilience. In Africa, South America, and Asia, kids learned to play in streets, on beaches, on dirt. They didn't always have cones, nets, or cleats, but they had instinct, hunger, rhythm, and when given the chance, many rose to the top. George Weah, Didier Drogba, Mohamed Salah, Son Heung-min. In North America, the game had a different journey. Soccer wasn't always the dominant sport, but that's changing. With MLS growth, Canadian Premier League momentum, and youth development infrastructure expanding, a new wave is forming, especially in the women's game, where the US and Canada have set a global standard. One of soccer's most beautiful truths is this: it can be both simple and sophisticated. One ball, two teams, infinite expression. That's why it lives everywhere. In favelas, in suburban parks, in refugee camps, in elite stadiums. The mental evolution of the game is another layer. The modern player doesn't just need touch and technique. They need clarity, awareness, mental stamina, emotional control. These are the principles of the 90-minute mind. Training now involves sports psychologists, breathing techniques, visualization, recovery science. Top players like Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland, and Alexia Putellas don't just train harder, they train smarter. It's not just for pros. If you're a young player listening, ask yourself, are you training your mind the same way you train your body? Do you handle setbacks with composure? Do you study your game like a student of the sport? If you're a parent or coach, remember, this game is emotional. Help your player build character, not just skills. Encourage self-awareness. Create safe spaces for failure and learning. The beauty of soccer is how it reflects life. You pass. You fall. You adapt. You grow. You support others. And sometimes, the best moments aren't in goals or trophies, but in how you play the game. Soccer has become more than a game. It's a language, a bridge, a mirror, a passion shared by billions. It evolves every year, yet stays rooted in something ancient, the joy of play.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the 90-Minute Mind. We explored how soccer evolved from village games to a global movement, shaped by cultures, communities, and an ever-growing love for the sport. In our next episode, we'll explore the life and legacy of Johan Cruyff, the Dutch genius who changed not only how soccer is played, but how it's thought about. His vision gave birth to total football, and his influence continues through modern giants like Barcelona, Ajax, and Pep Guardiola. If today's episode gave you a new perspective, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. Share it with a friend, a coach, or a teammate who loves the game as much as you do. Until next time, train your mind, play with heart, and respect the game. This is the 90-Minute Mind.